Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden.
Where we continue to follow the capture and killing of Osama bin Laden now.
Those are just some of the scenes overnight as thousands of Americans gathered in celebration of Osama bin Laden's death.
Former Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill says he has thought about the mission every day since that May Day in 2011.
From multiple conversations you had with Rob O'Neill over the past year and a half, how'd you get
access? And you described that his head kind of exploded when you hit him.
I actually hit him 3 times because I shot him twice when he was standing and once on the ground.
That is the fucking American badass right there.
We are not going for fame and we are not going for bravado. We are going for the single mom who dropped her kids off at elementary school on a Tuesday morning, and then 45 minutes later she jumped to her death out of a skyscraper.
If you need help, hang up and then dial your operator.
I'm Rob O'Neill, and this is the Operator Podcast. Welcome to the Operator Podcast. This is episode 151, and I am your host, Robert J. O'Neill. With a busy several weeks, it's been fun traveling around the country as usual, back and forth, back and forth. It seems like there's been several cross-country, coast-to-coast trips, which there have been, which is good. Some time in Florida, hanging out at the UDT SEAL Museum golf tournament down in Jupiter, Florida, which is a blast. It's funny to see that most Navy SEALs golf the same way, and it's really not that great. I'm not sure if that should be surprising or not. I find that the more money I spend, the worse I get. What a great game. The ball's just sitting there. Why is it so hard to hit that ball? But it's where we're at. Fun time, though, and got to hang out with a lot of cool people. I'll get into that in a second. I want to talk first about the sponsor of the show, StopBox. I talk about them quite a bit because of safety. We know safety is, when you're dealing with firearms especially. Let's be real, owning a handgun for self-defense comes with serious responsibility. You need it secure, but you also need to have access to it because when you need it, you need it. It better be near you and accessible. Too often with safety and needing it when you need it, it means choosing between locking it away or leaving it out. Vulnerable kids, guests, or intruders. That's the problem StopBox USA set out to solve, and they nailed it with StopBox Pro. It's 100% mechanical, so you're not messing with keys. Batteries aren't running out. It's battery-free. It gives you instant controlled access to your firearms. No electrics, no keys, and no codes required. Just a patented 5-button locking system that responds only to your unique input. It's fast, intuitive, and built for muscle memory, so you're not thinking. You're just responding. And when seconds matter, that makes all the difference. With the StopBox Pro, you don't have to trade safety for speed. You're going to have both, and you're going to get peace of mind with this readiness. Your firearm stays secure, but within reach. So you never have to worry about tariffs because everything is sourced right here in the United States. All StopBox products are proudly made in the USA in their own facility. So not only does this ensure high-quality craftsmanship, it's every product sent out has high-quality craftsmanship, and then it creates meaningful jobs right here in the United States. So this is for both security and readiness. The holiday season just got a little safer and a lot more affordable. For a limited time only, our listeners are getting a crazy deal. Not only do you get 10% off your entire order when you use code THEOPERATOR10, that's THEOPERATOR10 at StopBoxUSA.com. So that's THEOPERATOR10 at StopBoxUSA.com. They're also giving you buy one, get one free for their StopBox Pro. That's 10% off and a free StopBox Pro when you use code THEOPERATOR at StopBoxUSA.com. That's for security and readiness. StopBoxUSA.com, use code THEOPERATOR. Thank you for joining me. Busy week. It was Veterans Day, the Marine Corps' birthday, Veterans Month, as a lot of people are calling it, which is great. It's important to celebrate veterans and also know the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day. Obviously, Memorial Day, we celebrate the fallen, people who sacrificed everything. And that's Memorial Day. Veterans Day is more about the veterans, people who fought, combat veterans, things like that. So if you see a veteran all week, all month, or whatever, nothing wrong with telling them thank you for what they do. There's a lot that goes on with it. on Veterans Day, it's important for people to realize, even though, because the political climate right now is complete ass, we all know that, but it's important that veterans know when they were fighting, they were doing it for probably the right reasons. I think the right reasons. I know that we, at least in the military, we think we're noble. It depends on when you get further up. The higher you climb in the Wild Kingdom tree, the more shit you're going to get in your eye into politics and wars that are started. But veterans got to remember, when it comes down to it, it wasn't about George W. Bush. It wasn't about Barack Obama. It's about the man next to you, the woman next to you, depending on what kind of a mission you were on. But I'm a big believer that we won every fight that we were in, toe-to-toe with the enemy. I think that we're very, very tough. At the time, it's the warfare now is, the battlefield is changing rapidly right now. The drones things are scary as hell. I wouldn't want to be dealing with drones, counter-drone or flying drones. Because I used to joke about the guys that are stationed in the Air Force out in Las Vegas flying the drones that are in Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff like that. I used to joke about hazard pay and PTSD. I wonder if those dudes, though, eventually, because if you're flying drones, suicide drones, and your job is a kill mission, if that ever gets to them or not. And it's just changing everything right now. It's like it's a video game battlefield. From what I've heard, I haven't been to Iraq, Ukraine in a long, long time, but I know you see a lot of it on the internet with the drones chasing each other, chasing people down and just like blowing up right on them. I wonder if that gets to them. But everything's changing, and veterans just need to realize that for the person next to them. And it's important just to give them a shout out when you see them. It's not all morbid. It shouldn't be all morbid, and I think that veterans should take care of themselves, especially nowadays, because a lot of the vet-on-vet hate is getting out of control. I'll touch on that a little bit later. People who are trying to profit off of other veterans, and not just other veterans, but trying to profit off other veterans' failures after they've had success. It shouldn't happen that way. But Veterans Week, thank people for their service. That people are humble about that, but if you see them, thank them, buy them the meal that they may be having in the airport and whatnot. I say airport a lot because I fly quite a bit. I flew to Los Angeles last week. I had to give a speech out there at right around Disneyland, which is cool. I haven't been inside Disney in a while. I remembered as a kid, though. I remember how much fun it was, and it is always a happy place to go. Some of my family met me down there, and I posted some pictures. I didn't go into the park, but I did get to play a bunch of games of chess with my mother, which is awesome. If you don't play chess, you should. It's a great game that you can play with someone that doesn't speak your language, but it's a good game. You can download it on your mobile device and play there too. It's a good one to learn some tactics. It's fun. But flew out there, played some chess, and it was funny. I posted a picture walking back after playing my mother, almost by a burnt down, not burnt down, but run down entrance to Disneyland. I don't know if it's an emergency exit or what, but it was dark. I was on a busy road, but I was the only one there. The palm trees were all lit up like Christmas, and I walked past this Disneyland sign, just kind of crazy, almost like Idiocracy or whatever, where you jumped into the future and whatnot too. But that was fun out there. A little bit of chess, a great speech. Flew out east to Florida. I was able to speak to a couple places. I spoke to the YMCA out there, which was dope. They got a nice setup there in Fort Lauderdale. YMCA is really good about community. I was able to talk to the people running it. I talked to some of the local people there. What they're doing is getting money through funding and some government grants to hire people from the community to open businesses in the same building as the YMCA, after-school programs and stuff like that. And I think that is one of the keys to public safety, like anything, is mastering the basics. Get your community involved with something they all respect, and you can protect it and enjoy it and get some benefits from it. It's kind of like when we went to Iraq and Afghanistan with safe houses and stuff like that. Not the same, but the similar. The way you can build a community, I think, is with morale, and by morale, just hiring the locals. You don't just come in and bring people there and tell them what to do. Inspire people. There was like a high-end barbershop there. There was a cool, like a smoothie bar and a restaurant, stuff like that. Then the YMCA with great pools, great basketball courts. I almost got out there and shot a couple, but we've seen what that ends up looking like. It was good out in Jupiter, though, because I didn't go to the museum itself, but the UDT SEAL Museum is in Fort Pierce, Florida. I went to Admiral's Cove for a golf tournament. I got to see a bunch of old team guys, which is cool. seeing a bunch of old SEALs is always a good time because they had the name tags with your first name and your buds class, which is cool. I had a little Rob 208 there, which was a few years ago, but I ran into dudes. I golfed with Tim Szymanski, who's an admiral, and class 161, which is way before me. You're always going to run into someone that's senior to you. So make sure you stay humble with that. And it's not hard to be humble on a golf course out there because golf's a tough game. Some people just pick it up. I haven't necessarily picked it up, but it was good to be out there, watch the shenanigans. I didn't get involved with the shenanigans. We were hosted by a gentleman by the name of Bob Devine, Florida. Bob Devine's well known in that part of the neck of the wood. I think he's been living at Admiral's Cove for like 26 years. Big, he's an older dude. I think he's in his 80s actually. And he hosts SEALs all the time and he knows them really well. And we finished the golf thing. There was a nice event. Jessica Lynch was the speaker at the dinner, and she was famously rescued by Joint Special Operations Command and one of the squadrons, Gold Squadron from SEAL Team 6. So some of those dudes were there. I ran into Nelson Miller, Gold Team guy. He's a Red Team guy and a Gold Team guy. He owns the Tridents Bars and Grills in Tucson. If you haven't been to those, go. Speedway Boulevard, I think, is the original get into Tucson. Nelson was there. He was on the rescue, helped plan it. And she was there, which is very cool. I didn't go to a lot of the festivities. It was funny because I know what happens when team guys get together and the booze is flowing. There can be some shenanigans. I didn't partake in that, but the next day I did run into my friend Bob Devine, and he was funny. He was sitting with a couple SEALs, a couple guys from TF-160 having breakfast after an obvious big night. I did the pool swim and the cold plunge because I felt pretty good for not going out. But I wanted to see what shenanigans I missed. And Bob said, yeah, it was great. We went to my boat. We hung out. And then, I ended up on one of those med stretchers that you bring people after an event onto an ambulance, a backboard or whatever you call it. It's like, yeah, I ended up one of those. And they covered my face and sort of tilted me backwards. And I guess I got waterboarded for a while. And I'm like, who waterboarded you? And he's like, just some SEALs, I guess. I said, why did they waterboard you, Bob? And he said, well, because they wanted to. I'm like, that's cool. Hey, what if they killed you? That would suck. On accident, shit happens, man. Don't be waterboarding your friends. But no, I'm making light of it, but it was a good time, great event, great, decent golf, great course. And the facilities are there too. I love the cold plunge. I hit that in the mornings after a swim and a lift. And the cold plunge, I'm convinced, is awesome. And if you can last for a minute in the cold plunge, you can stay in there for pretty much the rest of the time. It was I don't know what the temperature was, but cold plunges are good for everything. It was actually funny. I got in there and there was two dudes it's a country club. It's a golf club, a family place, nice restaurants. And there were two dudes in there. So there's a hot tub, a big hot tub next to the cold plunge, and they look the same. There's water coming out of fountains. One's freezing ass cold, one's really, really nice hot tub. And they were in the hot tub, and I was like, well, I came for the cold plunge, but I have to get in there and let out my inner bitch, but I can't look like it because these dudes are members here. They know they're hosting SEALs. I got to be tough. So I just got in there cold as hell, tried to keep a straight face, and I started my watch. And I was looking at it, and after 5 minutes, the guys were staring at me. I didn't make a face, and they were looking at me, and I said, I think I got in the wrong tub because this is kind of cold. Train like you train. Do what you do. But Veterans Week is good. If you see a vet, make sure to thank him. I saw a dude, too. I want to know your thoughts on this because this one kind of hit me in a weird way. There was someone from a younger generation, younger than me. I'm going to be 50 in April, so a lot of people are younger than me. But there was someone arguing with someone else. I'm assuming, I didn't know this guy's side of the aisle. I'm assuming he was a younger dude, probably 21. I'm assuming he was leaning left because he said something that stuck out that just didn't sound right. He was thanking veterans. Now, and don't take this the wrong way, just it sounded way off to me. He was talking about Veterans Day, and he was talking about World War II and something about the 400,000 American service women and men who died. I think that's a little insulting to say it that way. Not that women didn't die in World War II, but certainly a lot more men died. And that's just, to me, a product of people lying to kids. There are service women in Vietnam. They weren't in combat. There were nurses that are incredible. Women died, like I said. But, I mean, if you're out there blatantly saying, I want to thank all the service women and men for those who gave the ultimate sacrifice in World War II, I think you're being dishonest. And I think, it's the same thing when the Democrats are proving a point and they said a prayer, be it on, it was on Capitol Hill somewhere, and they finished a prayer and said a woman instead of amen. We get it. You're sensitive. That's not correct. Anyway, but that's the type of stuff that a lot of kids are being taught. And is it even appropriate? Like here, okay. So here is the new one. I know this administration is trying to do what's right for all the American people. I believe that, and I know that the Trump administration loves the troops, and like it or not, the troops love the Trump administration. Recruiting is up, stuff is good, life is good, morale is high. But they're trying to fix stuff. I had a buddy tell me about the 2% back pay or tax. What is it? $2,000 to each taxpayer because the tariffs are paying off. That's cool if you can get it to them. I don't know how you're going to get it, but I heard about $2,000 per taxpayer, which is great. I mean, I know the prices are going up. They're trying to solve everything. Is that going to work? I'm going to dig more into that. But what have you heard about the rebate? Is it a rebate, or how are they going to get it to you? Would it be like an EBT type thing, or they just put money in your account? But they said under a certain amount, and I think that's fair. People that are, what are they going to do? $2,000. They said they're going to. I didn't research that very much. It sounds nice, but anytime the government's giving you money, when the government's trying to help, you need to be wary of what they're doing. What did Reagan say? Something about was it the nine worst words in the American language? I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Reagan said that too. That's very dangerous when the government says that. And if you fast forward to now, Mayor-elect Mamdani in New York is saying there's no problem too large for the government to fix, no problem too small. So just give us your stuff and let socialism take over. You know what's crazy? I don't want to get on a socialist communist diatribe today, though. You know that communists are supposed to be atheists, right? Mamdani is not. He's an Islamist. That's not an atheist. That's way different. That's very, very far right. And I'm going to get argued with about this, but he's not a leftist, man. He's far right, and you're not going to like him. He got elected, hasn't been sworn in yet, but he went down to he went down to Puerto Rico, and he found a mosque, and there's video of him yelling Allahu Akbar, which is said quite a bit, and it's saying that my God is greater than your God. And they say that quite a bit, and it's a comparison. But they also, that's the last thing that suicide bombers say before they blow themselves up. I've heard people yell that at me before, and it's pretty scary to hear that. But that's the mayor of New York, Allahu Akbar. He's pretty far right religiously, and he's not as tolerant as you think. And it's going to be interesting. I'm not looking at New York and saying I hope it fails. That's the last thing I want. I really want New York to succeed. I hope this works. I hope the government coming in and all the cops leaving and defund the police and social workers showing up work. I really do hope it works. The way that I'm putting it is I hope communism works like it never has before, because it never has before. And it's an idea. People will say, well, communism is never, socialism is never. They do the words a lot. They throw socialism, communism, fascism. They throw a lot of isms. This is the same shit. And it's just different labels, really. Because one leads to the next, which eventually leads to death. We are in the phase of the disruption right now, and that's what's happening. But people really believe that Mamdani's their left-leaning savior, and he's not. But I hope it works. Maybe we're gonna see what government bread lines look like, government-run grocery stores. It's like forgetting a condiment. I'm gonna really quickly run to the DMV and get the gravy. I'll be back in 3 days. Stuff like that. So it's scary, but people want it, and I think that a lot of this is because of the education system. The way that I'm seriously considering what to do with the youngins. I've got 3 daughters now that are older, and so they're good, and they turned out great. So it's easy for me to sit here and badmouth education, but I do question, especially, and I'm well aware of the stuff that leans you against it. Everything's got an angle, and everyone's getting paid somehow. I have seen some of the products coming out of school, and I'm not happy with it. I've talked to a lot of employers who talk to people who've graduated from college. They're not happy with it. They'd rather. Speaking of Veterans Week, they'd rather hire veterans. And they've told me they would rather hire a veteran and teach them how to do their job than deal with what college is producing, because it's a factory. show. I don't think that, well, especially boys like that who are having testosterone's a hell of a drug, and when it's piping through your veins, especially after the government told you that you should have a huge bowl of sugar as a young boy, huge bowl of sugar cereal, and then run off to a building and sit in a classroom. You're going to be crazy, but you're going to be crazy on purpose because why? Well, they can say you have ADHD and start giving you, or not insulin, but giving you medication because you're crazy, Ritalin, stuff like that, because you got a hyperactive son, or you just fed him hundreds of grams of sugar, and now he's a boy with this will eventually grow into a man, but you got to sit him down, so let's drug him up. Now you got a lifelong customer right there. And then what are you going to teach him through school? You're going to teach him about genders, about your feelings, shit like that. You're not, not teaching him about finance or interest rates for sure. That's not going to happen. All you're basically teaching him in school right now is what? You need to get into college, or else what? You're a loser. So let's get you to college. We're going to send you to college, so you got to work. Memorize the shit I tell you. Memorize. You don't need to learn. You don't need to think anything at all. You don't need to solve problems. You need to memorize. Memorize this date in World War I for no fucking reason. What's the point? Why do you need to know that? The date. Know what happened. You should probably be taught the reason things happen, or what is blamed for stuff happening and why, and how to think out of it. Not this happened here. This did this. The bell rings. Get up. Leave. You got to be a good worker. You were just told to leave. Bell rings. Get in line. Looks a lot like a prison, but not. And school is gearing you up so that when you're 18, you can go to college. What's the first thing you do before college? Well, I'm gonna get in debt by at least $150,000. So I'm gonna start my life off in debt after learning nothing about finance in school, nothing about credit cards. I had to learn about interest rates in the Navy. You ever see those? There's two things. If you go to a military, speaking of Veterans Day and Veterans Week, if you go to a military installation, be it San Diego, Fayetteville, or anywhere in Florida, you're going to see a base, you're going to see a bunch of young, hungry soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, space fighters, and you're going to see used car lots and booby bars. That's where they're going to go because they're guaranteed a paycheck every 2 weeks. These young dudes in the military, and right outside they want to get a car, so they get a car for like a 9-year loan at a 25% rate because they're never taught about life skill. But at least you could be in debt. Why aren't they teaching more about personal finance and debt, bankruptcy laws, and mortgages and like credit lines, basic banking? Why do they want you trapped by debt right off the bat? When you're 18, you're young, man. That's young. When you graduate college, you're young. And you should be able to explore your life, but they want you in debt. Why? Because they want you concentrating on your debt. They don't want you concentrating on what they're doing. Look at that government shutdown that just ended. It's semi-ending. And both sides tell you back and forth whose fault it is. It's their fault. It's Republicans. It's the Democrats. We're not saving money for illegals. And the illegal fight is there. And again, it comes for the voters. I'm tired of talking about this. It comes for power. You see what they're doing to Chuck Schumer too? He's gone, man. I've been saying that for a long time. He had to go further and further left because that's where his party's going. And he has to go left because he doesn't want to get primaried. And a primary is the election before the main election where the party's trying to select their candidate. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is going to primary Chuck Schumer. So he went far left, crazy left, trying to avoid that. You are not going to appease the crazies. You're not. It's like apologizing on the internet for saying something. They accuse you of being a certain thing. You're not going to win that argument. Forget about him. But Chuck did. He tried, man. It's all he knows is politics and power. And now people don't take him serious anymore. And now they let the communists in. And now the communists are surrounding Bernie Sanders, man. He's making a move. He's been trying to be a communist since before his honeymoon, which he took in Russia. Communist Russia. And I mean, they're not even shy to say, they say democratic socialist. They're bullshitting you. But the communists now, they're eating their own and they're taking over the Democrat Party. If you're a Democrat, man, you got to see this coming. I talked to Butte, Montana this April or May or something like that. And I got bitched at about my hometown because the hometown newspaper, which is a complete rag, badmouth my community. All I was saying was people in Butte, Montana have much higher, better values than the people in D.C. And now you're seeing it. You're getting your communists. You're getting a lot of crazy people that barely speak English, and they're badmouthing the country. A lot of people on the left are immigrants Come to this country, Congress, badmouth the country that brought you in. Okay. But the left is going to follow him because we hate Trump. Orange man bad. That's all we know. I mean, and again, too, I'm an independent. I mentioned that quite a bit, too. I want to talk about something that happened in order to try to relieve a lot of debt. I think this is a bad idea. I'm not a finance guy, but I do know how to invest. I have banking accounts. I've purchased houses. I've used loans. I've paid loans off, things like that. It took a while to learn. But right now, what is being said, did you hear the thing about the 50-year mortgage? That's going to lower your monthly payment. That sounds fine. I'd like a lower monthly payment, but don't just sign right now. Do some research. It's like that loan for 25% for 9 years for a used mini SUV or whatever you're going to buy. You're going to be paying that forever. Yeah, it's a low payment, but you're paying on a car for 9 years. Have you ever owned a car for 9 years? But a 50-year, okay, let's say we're taking a house that we're going to, and we'll go generous at $300,000 for a 30-year fixed loan. So you're going to pay this off. So you're betting on a 30-year mortgage. You're going to live in that house for 30 years. At 6%, you're talking an $1,800 a month payment. 6%, 30 years. So the interest you're going to pay on the life of the loan, 30 years, is $350,000. So let's just break it down to your monthly payment of $1,800. 30-year loan. If you get a 50-year mortgage at the same rate, 6%, loan $300,000, 6% for 50 years, your payment went down from $1,800 a month to $1,580 a month. Not bad. So that's a little bit of extra money for food and whatnot. What you're not considering is you're paying 20 extra years of a mortgage on a house you're probably going to die before it's paid off, plus the interest you paid on a 30-year mortgage, which is still way too long. The interest on a 30-year is $350,000. So you paid $350,000 more than you paid for your $300,000 house, right? So your house was $300,000, you paid $350,000 over the course of 30 years. If your house was $300,000 over the 50-year loan, you're paying $650,000 in interest. That's more than two of those houses. That's the interest rate over the course of the time and the maturity of the loan. But they're not going to tell, and certainly the banks aren't going to tell you that, right? But a 50-year, just don't do that. The monthly payment, there are better ways to do it, but they're handing it out like it's a sweet, sweet deal, and I happen to disagree with that. So even the 30 years bad. Watch your rates. You got to learn about that stuff too. We should dig more into that. I don't want to get into finance today because someone out there listening is smart on finance, and I don't want to look dumb because this is the Operator Podcast. Well, it is holiday season once again, and I love holiday season. It always rolls around, and it's here now. And let's be real. The kitchen is where it's all going to go down. Game day feasts, big roasts, big meals, endless sides, all kinds of desserts, my favorite. And if your current pans panic at high heat or burn on the gravy, it's time for an upgrade. And here comes HexClad. I've talked about them before. This is the cookware that's as serious about performance as you are about carving that holiday turkey. These pans give you the perfect sear. These are crazy durable, easy cleanup, without the babysitting. Stainless steel strength, toxin-free, non-stick convenience, and yeah, they look darn good on the stovetop, hanging above that when the whole crew's over in your kitchen. HexClad 6-piece and 12-piece sets are the ultimate gift for yourself or for your home chef, whoever's in there cooking. Whether you're starting fresh or going big, these bundles cover every dish, every craving, every holiday spread. Plus, every HexClad comes with a lifetime warranty, so you're not just buying cookware, you're setting someone up for years of meals, memories, and celebration. HexClad 6-piece set is a perfect starter for any new kitchen, any bundle kitchen. It includes 3 of their most popular pans with matching lids, giving you everything you need to handle daily cooking with ease from breakfast to dinner. These pans deliver pro-level performance, effortless cleanup, and durability that seriously lasts a lifetime. This season, don't just shop for gifts. Give the upgrade every kitchen deserves. Take 10% off at hexclad.com/The Operator, and cook like a pro all holiday season long. Treat yourself or give the gift of cookware that delivers for every meal, every gathering, every season. That's hexclad.com, hexclad.com/The Operator. And when they ask you who sent you, tell them the operator sent you, hexclad.com/The Operator. And it was also fitting this week on November 10th is the birthday of the United States Marine Corps, and that's just awesome. Of all the branches, it's the most proud, I would think. The proud, the Marines. And they had, the recruiting has been really good too. It always has been historically. They, the military tried some stuff during the Summer of Love and all that crap when we were lying to ourselves worse than we are today. But they've always been good about the flaming sword, the fiery dragon, the stud that beats his ass. All because 250 years ago in a bar in Philadelphia, the Marine Corps was formed. I think they're just awesome. In a bar, it's actually fitting. But they needed the Marines to. The Marines are part of they're attached to the Navy, and I've told that story too. That I joined the Navy on accident because I tried to join the Marine Corps. The Marine recruiter wasn't in the office when I joined on a whim. He was out to lunch, and the Navy recruiter was. And I had two Marine friends tell me that the Marine Corps is actually part of the Department of the Navy. It's just the men's department, and that's the reason I personally went into the Navy guy's office and because I asked him where the Marine was, and if anyone would know you are because they're part of the Marine Corps. He said, "Look no further," and I joined the Navy because I figured I could learn how to swim before becoming a SEAL. But back in the day in the bar in Philly, they needed Marines to do fighting on land in the Caribbean because this is November 10th, 1775. So the Marine Corps is older than the country, which is kind of cool. But the shipping was going on in the Bahamas, and then the Brits were in Nassau. This is obviously before the Revolutionary War, so the Marines could go in there and kick some ass, and they did. And the Revolutionary War was won by the United States of America, and the rest is history. But a lot of people don't know this, that the Marine Corps was disbanded after the victory in the Revolutionary War and put back together by John Adams in 1798. So they disbanded. The Navy did also, the world's finest Navy, and then Thomas Jefferson used the Marines to fight the Barbary pirates in North Africa. That's where they came in from the shores of Tripoli. So they went back and forth, and that was actually fighting part of the jihad too, because those were Muslim pirates and the Barbary pirates, and they were engaging in the slave trade too. A lot of people don't know that slavery's been around a lot longer than the United States. There's a lot of bad people doing it too, and the Marines went over there, and because a lot of Westerners were being taken by the pirates, and even the United States said, "Well, why are you doing this? You never had a problem with us." And they were saying something along the lines of the Quran tells us that we can kidnap and enslave infidels, which is true and is happening in some places today. So be wary of that as well. But they were formed in the Revolutionary War, right before we were a country, as a naval infantry unit, and they were, like I said, first recruited at a bar in Philly. That's probably a good way. If you need to get some good dudes from Philly, go to a bar and recruit them. There's some tough guys down there. And then they were disbanded, put back together. Throughout the 19th century, the Marine Corps played a role basically in all the conflicts: the Barbary Wars, War of 1812, the Mexican-American War. They were involved in the Civil War. They served aboard naval vessels, protected American interests abroad. They fought land battles, like we know. In the early 20th century, the Marine Corps continued to expand its role and capabilities. In World War I, Marines fought in major battles such as, there's so many of them on here. The Marine Corps are always involved. So basically, all you got to know: tenacity, bravery, the U.S. Marine Corps. I'm reading some of the notes too, and I wrote down a lot of places they fought. During wars too, they developed new amphibious tactics. They're always doing that. I've been a part of a mobile amphibious ready group, a couple of those, a MARG. Marines are always looking at ways to get there. That's how you're going to, the Saving Private Ryan, the landing at the beginning, Omaha Beach, even though that was the Army, the Marine Corps specialized in that with their help from the Navy. And getting into World War II, the Pacific Theater is where they really just kicked ass, doing stuff that is above and beyond what bravery actually is. Amphibious assaults, Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, Mount Suribachi when they raised the flag, the Battle of Iwo Jima. It's a symbol of resolve and determination. And the Marines are still out there doing it today. And they've always done more with less. The Marine Corps was so good at saying every Marine's a rifleman that they wouldn't take certain funding for special forces, special operations, because they kept saying that all Marines are special operations, which is fine, but you're not going to get the funding. But they did. And I remember being at SEAL Team 6 too. They were going to start to put Marine officers from force reconnaissance through our selection course to get into SEAL Team 6. So they want to start a MARSOC. And I want to see what MARSOC is doing now too, because I'd heard rumors. I can look this up too, just hadn't today, but I remember I was there during the process of trying to do it. And they said, would that work? Would Marine officers do well at Green Team? And that Green Team is selection for SEAL Team 6. And I remember the thought was, yeah, they'll do well at Green Team. However, we're worried they won't go back to the Marine Corps because it's pretty good here. And we were right, but they did well. And today, the United States Marine Corps remains an elite fighting force, the best infantry, and just under 200,000 active duty Marines, almost 40,000 reserve Marines. They're a key component to basically everything that we do. They're huge in a straight-up blitzkrieg assault, or good for deterrence, man. Get some carriers and a mobile amphibious ready group off the coast. You know there are Marines there. They come with air power. Marines come with everything, man. So Marine Corps, happy birthday. Happy Veterans Week. I want to take a second to talk about our newest sponsor, Cowboy Colostrum, because as the days go by, as I get older, I'm finding it more difficult to get the right supplements, gut health, stuff like that, how to feel just a little bit better. If you're not familiar with what colostrum is, it is the first milk that mammals produce after giving birth, and it's not like regular milk. It's thicker, it's richer, it's packed with hundreds of bioactive ingredients that help support our immunity, gut health, glowing skin, nails, your hair getting thicker, athletic performance. That's what colostrum is going to help you with. And it makes it's really important during the holiday, or not the holiday season, but the shifting seasons as our immune systems tend to be put to the test. My digestion feels better. My wife tells me my hair is getting thicker and my skin is glowing. I don't have buddies that tell me that, but all you have to do is mix 1 scoop of powder and stir it into coffee, milk, water, smoothies, your choice, and it comes in great flavors, vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. And unlike other colostrum brands, Cowboy Colostrum is never diluted. It's never spray dried, and it always sourced from grass-fed cows on regenerative U.S. farms. So there's no junk. It's all good stuff, hormone-free, allergen-free, and it's from grass-feed and third-party tested. Cowboy Colostrum isn't just another wellness trend. It's a return to the nutrition that our ancestors used. It's biological. Most customers say that gut health benefits, that's the first thing that they notice, and it keeps getting better from there. Less bloating. Bloating sucks. Better digestion. Basically, you're going to feel better. You're going to perform a lot better. And for a limited time, you can check this out. Listeners of this show get 25% off their entire order when you go over to the website cowboycolostrum.com. Cowboy, COLOSTRUM.com. Cowboycolostrum.com. Code the operator at checkout. That's 25% off when you use code the operator. Again, that's cowboycolostrum.com. Cowboy, COLOSTRUM.com. After purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard them. Tell them the operator sent you to cowboycolostrum.com. Code the operator. And because of Veterans Week, I actually had a really good conversation with one of my really good friends, one of my best friends. Worked at SEAL Team 2 with him, worked at SEAL Team 6 with him. He's actually one of the snipers from the Captain Phillips raid rescue, I guess. I consider him the primary sniper to initiate the shots to rescue Richard Phillips from Somali pirates. I was not with him at the time because I was in the Chief's mess. Want to make it very clear of where I was during certain high-level operations because I have always told you the truth. So I talked to him yesterday. He was also on the Bin Laden raid. A lot of dudes on the Bin Laden raid were on the Captain Phillips raid. Some of the senior dudes like me, we were on the Lone Survivor rescue in 2005 also. That was a lot of guys from the same squadron, from Red Squadron. We had a talk, though, talking about Memorial Day, and he brought up a really good point. I wasn't sure where he was going with this, but he said he's got a buddy who's a 1-star. Because we're all old. He's an enlisted guy, I'm an enlisted guy, but the guys we went through training with or know from our era are senior guys. I got ensigns I went through buds with who are admirals now. So this dude's a 1-star Special Air Service, the SAS, the legendary SAS out of Hereford. He said he went back to Hereford and he was walking around the compound and he had a lot of stuff to do, but there were some old timers there, is the way he called them. They're old timers. They're old SAS dudes from back in the day, and they've got a very rich history. He said what they were doing was the old timers were sitting around. They had a bottle of whiskey, and they were pouring themselves nice little drinks, and they were talking about the old times. And he said the dudes that were there were guys who had, if they hadn't written their own autobiographies, they had biographies written about them, about the service, about what they've done for their country, about their history and heritage, and the SAS. And he sat there and he listened to him for about 5 hours. Even though he had stuff to do, he said he's going to learn more right now, talking about the heritage of dudes who have really been in the shit. And I want to know what their mindset is. I want to know how they got along. I want to know everything about what they do. And that's awesome. And that's a great heritage. And that's what the SAS does. Then my buddy brought up a point to me. He said, we don't do that. We are really, really bad about that, especially Navy SEALs. Really bad about it. And we claim it, man. We'll say it all the time, know your history, know your heritage. Not a lot of people do, because what we've noticed in the SEAL teams is if you do something in the public eye, and you don't, and if you didn't even intend to, but you're doing a job you were sent to do that you're really, really good at, and it makes headlines, there's a tendency to try to get rid of that person out of the public eye. There's a tendency, even if, like, well, myself, I wrote a book that was approved by the Pentagon, approved by the agencies and the commands. And that should be good enough for history proof that you're not going to affect tactics or anything, but you're just telling younger generations and your country what went down. There's nothing wrong with that. The point he brought up, my buddy who was a SEAL Team 6 guy brought up, was how many guys from our generation, meaning my generation, his generation, other people who were on these major missions. I'm talking about the lead jumper for the rescue of Jessica Buchanan in Somalia after the bin Laden raid. I'm talking about the guys on the bin Laden raid. I'm talking about the guys that were fighting the Taliban in Kandahar when we first had the gloves come off and we can fight them and fight Al-Qaeda, fight all over the Arabian Peninsula, Islamic Maghreb, fighting Al-Qaeda, fighting terrorists everywhere. All of these dudes, a lot of them joined because of Dick Marcinko, because of his book, Rogue Warrior, great book. He had to write it as fiction because the government wouldn't approve it. Again, there's a lot of banging of heads right there. They don't want it out because he did stuff that wasn't quite by the book. So he wrote it in fiction. Now, I think he says something like every Navy SEAL could bench press 500 pounds. I don't think that's the case. That might be fabrication. But it was a great book. And he asked me, did you ever meet Richard Marcinko? And I said, no. I had never met Richard. Would you have liked to have met him? Yes. I would have loved to have sat down with Richard Marcinko as many times as I could have. He's dead now. He passed away. To hear what his mindset was when you came up with SEAL Team 6, what were you thinking? How did you pick the guys that went there? How were you picking the weapon systems for the guys? How were you trying to acquire them? When you were functioning effectively and started to get a lot of heat from the powers that be, how did you deal with that? How did you deal with prison when they pretty much set you up? How did you deal with prisoners? What was the thinking behind taking your shirt off when it was snowing outside so you could lift heavy weights in the yard and make everyone watch? But never got that chance. Why? They blackballed him. The SEAL team he founded blackballed him, so we can't talk to him. My buddy told me that he'd heard his name around the command, and people know who he is. People know who I am. People know who other SEALs are that have been in public. They know who they are. And none of us had been invited back to talk to the squadrons. Wonder why that is. I mean, if I was there, if there was a war fought when I was on my way up to SEAL Team 6, if there were some guys left from Grenada or from Panama or from Desert Storm, the initial thing or whatever, or any stuff that they did in Bosnia with PIFWICs, people indicted for war crimes. Never heard of them. I've never been invited back. My buddies have never been. I would have gone to those meetings. You could make it, it's not mandatory. You can't make someone come back to the command and talk to them. And you can't you can in the military, make them show up. But if you had one squadron host a guy that took the shots to rescue Richard Phillips, would you want him to talk to the squadron? Yeah, I would. They don't. And the mentality is, well, like the older guys that are still in, like the Master Chief or maybe even the CO, the XO. Well, I'm an old guy. They can talk to me. That's fine. They can talk to you. Why aren't you bringing more guys in to know your heritage? For a community, especially Navy SEALs, that talks about know your heritage, we don't really know our heritage. And it's you can learn from history, but you're going to learn a lot more from the generations ahead of you. Why don't they let us back in there? I mean, I have no desire to go back. I'll be honest with you. I don't need to go back. After we lost all the SEALs on Extortion 1-7 and the Bin Laden. When certain people went running around talking shit about the Bin Laden raid and making stuff up, you could feel it moving. The morale went down. And I think personally, you may have seen, I don't want to name people by name, but you probably know who I'm talking about. Wouldn't it be better to handle a lot of this by getting certain dudes in a room? And I don't know, even SEAL Team 6 operators in the room too, and just hash it out that way. What did you see and what did you see? Oh, that's what happened. Not going to do it though, because Even I talked to my nephew, who's an Army sniper. He is in Arizona, Keegan McCaffrey. And he said, I said something about whatever's going on. He's like, yeah, it's like that in the Army, man. If you start succeeding more than someone else, they will shut you down. Shouldn't be like that because, yeah, you might like your spot, but especially officers, you're a visitor there, man. You need to keep the tradition, the history up. I think that SEAL Team 6 should be happy about the Captain Phillips raid, happy about the Lone Survivor raid, along with the Rangers. Rangers were with us on most of the missions, and they have a great history, man. Ask any Ranger about Point du Hoc. Any Ranger would know about that. Rangers lead the way for a reason. Ask any SEAL what month the invasion of Grenada was. What month and year? Huh? Yeah. Know your heritage. You really should, though. I don't like seeing that stuff too. It is a shame. And I'm gonna close a little bit with this. I did file a lawsuit this week too against a podcast that has been out. You can read it. It's on my Instagram at Mikuya. It'll probably be on the Operator Podcast. I'm not going to mention them right now. I don't like saying their name. But the issue was there's a podcast that was trying to make money, and they seem to be taking joy in trying to destroy people. They came after me, I think, initially, and I responded to them, which gave them clout, which gave them cockiness, which made them start going after other people. I only know about myself, but I do see what they're doing with other people that are famous, people that have done stuff. I've seen them. They went after me. They went after Jocko Willink. They went after Lone Survivor Marcus Luttrell. They went after Chris Kyle. They went after Shrek. They're going after all kinds of people. There's all kinds of people they went after, then taking joy in it. I've had buddies of mine who had to fire people from their business because they're taking shots at them, and then they're taking glee behind it. Like, if you have a problem with someone, bring it up, man. I certainly wouldn't take hearsay from someone who has a history of giving out information, letting you do their dirty work, and then they vanish. That would be a shame if that happened. But there will be more about it. I don't want to touch on it too much. It's a shame that it has to come to this. And I just want you to know a lawsuit doesn't make me happy. They're expensive and lawyers are involved, and it's just not great. But that's out there too. And Veterans Week, man, we should be doing a better job of taking care of each other and knowing our history. But speaking of history, you will love this. This is pretty good. When the Marine Corps came about, very, very early on, just from a bar, go down to the Bahamas, start kicking ass. That's kind of what Marines do. Since being formed in a bar with volunteers and go to the Bahamas. Sorry about that. But they have a long and rich history. But the one that stuck out to me about the Marines, I want to conclude with this, was in World War I, because due to their tenacity and ferocity, man, ferociousness in World War I. There's a nickname for the Marine Corps, the lore, and it was also used in recruiting, as you may have heard, but the Germans would see the Marines in World War I, and I just think this is badass. I'm getting goosebumps right now. They would call them now, I don't want to screw up the pronunciation of this. I don't speak German, but Teufelshunde. Does that sound about right? Teufelhunden, which is, Teufel means a demon or a devil, and Hunden is hound for dog, which roughly translates to devil dog. Oh, that's awesome. Man, I'm talking German warriors before World War II, before the Luftwaffe and the Blitzkrieg, naming you the Teufelhunden. Am I saying that right, Volker? Devil dogs, man. Dude, if you can go to a bar, join the Marine Corps, and fight in the Bahamas, you're never out of the fight.